There is a specific kind of loneliness that comes from being surrounded by family. The kind where you are sitting at the dinner table and no one asks you how your day was. Where your achievements go unnoticed. Where you learn early that being quiet means being forgotten. You're not the oldest one who got all the attention for being first. You're not the youngest who got coddled and adored. You're the middle child, the one who learned to raise yourself. The one who disappeared into the background so seamlessly that nobody noticed you were struggling. Let's start with the position you were born into. The oldest child blazed the trail, got the attention, the expectations, the focus. Every milestone was celebrated because it was new for the parents too. The youngest got the baby treatment, the doting, the protection, the luxury of staying small longer. And you were the afterthought, the middle one, the one who came along when parenting stopped being novel. Your first steps weren't as exciting, your achievements weren't as celebrated, your needs weren't as urgent. Not because your parents didn't love you, but because by the time you arrived, their attention was already divided, already depleted, already allocated to the squeaky wheels on either side of you. So you learned, if you want to survive here, don't squeak, don't demand, don't make waves. Just be easy, be low maintenance, be the one they don't have to worry about. And here's what you become, the good child, the easy one, the one who never caused problems. You got good grades, but not exceptional enough to warrant celebration. You stayed out of trouble, but not in a way that got you praised. You helped around the house without being asked, and no one noticed. Because attention went to the extremes. The oldest who was either succeeding brilliantly or failing spectacularly. The youngest who needed constant care and intervention. And you were neither. You were fine, average, and self-sufficient. And fine children get forgotten because parents don't worry about fine. So you kept being fine, even when you weren't. Even when you were drowning, even when you desperately needed someone to ask you if you are okay. Because you learned that your needs don't matter as much, that taking space is selfish, that being noticed means being a burden. So you raised yourself, emotionally, practically, completely. You figured out your own homework, solved your own problems, processed your own emotions in silence. Nobody taught you how to handle heartbreak, so you cried alone. Nobody helped you navigate friendship drama, so you figured it out yourself. Nobody asked about your dreams, so you stopped sharing them. You become hyper-independent, not by choice, but by necessity. And people praised you for it, called you mature, responsible, and easy. Never realizing that what they were celebrating was actually neglect you had adapted to. You weren't mature, you were surviving. You weren't independent, you were abandoned to raise yourself. And the worst part? You learned to take pride in it, in needing no one, in being the strong one, in never asking for help. Because asking for help means admitting you weren't as fine as everyone assumed. Now let's talk about what it did to watch your siblings get what you didn't. The oldest got the focused parenting, the rules, the attention, the investment. The youngest got the softness, the grace, the exceptions, the adoration. And you got whatever was left over, which often felt like nothing. You watched your older sibling get help with college applications while you figured it out alone. You watched your younger sibling get away with things you were punished for. You watched both of them get celebrated while your accomplishments were met with distracted acknowledgement. And you couldn't even be angry about it, because anger would make you the problem child. So you swallowed it, told yourself it didn't matter, convinced yourself you didn't need what they were getting. But it did matter. You did need it. And pretending you didn't left a hole you've been trying to fill ever since. Here's the part you don't talk about: the desperate need for attention that lives underneath your independence. You tell yourself you don't need recognition, that you're above seeking validation, that you're comfortable being invisible, but that's not true. It never was. You crave being seen, being chosen, being remembered. You just learned early that craving it openly gets you nothing but disappointment. So you develop subtle strategies. You overachieve, hoping someone will notice you. You help others, hoping they'll finally ask about you. You disappear, hoping someone will come looking. But these strategies rarely work because people take your independence at face value. They assume you're fine. They assume you don't need what others need. And you're too proud to correct them, too afraid of being needy. And this pattern follows you into adulthood, into every relationship you try to build. You choose partners who are unavailable, not consciously, but because unavailable feels familiar. You don't ask for what you need. You wait for them to notice, to read your mind, to see through you're fine and realize you're not. And when they don't, you feel confirmed. See, I was right. I'm forgettable. But you never gave them a chance. You never said, I need you. I'm struggling. Because the lost child in you believes that if you have to ask, it doesn't count. That real love means being noticed without having to announce yourself. But that's not how adult relationships work, and waiting to be discovered keeps you lonely. Here is another pattern: the peacekeeper, the one who manages everyone else's emotions. In your family, you were the buffer between warring siblings, the emotional translator, the one who kept things smooth. And you carried that role everywhere: into friendships where you're always the therapist, into workplaces where you're always accommodating, into relationships where you prioritize their needs over your own. Because making other people happy is how you earned your place, how you felt valuable, how you avoided being forgotten entirely. But people pleasing isn't connection, it's transaction. And it leaves you exhausted, resentful, and still feeling unseen. Because they don't know the real you. They know that version of you that makes their life easier. And that version is just another form of invisibility. Let's talk about who you are when no one's watching, because that's where the real damage lives. You spent so long being whatever people needed you to be that you forgot what you actually want, what you actually feel, what you actually need. Your identity became flexible, adaptable like a mirror reflecting others' expectations back to them. You are agreeable because disagreeing might cause conflict. You are neutral because having strong opinions might alienate people. And underneath all that flexibility is a question you can't answer: who am I even when I'm not trying to be easy? The lost child didn't just lose attention, they lost the opportunity to develop a solid sense of self. Because developing self requires being seen, reflected back, validated for who you are. And you never got that. So you're still searching, still trying on identities, still waiting for someone to tell you that who you are is enough. Here's the belief that controls your life: that your needs are a burden, that asking for help is imposing, that taking up space is selfish. You apologize for crying, for being upset, for having feelings that inconvenience others. You minimize your pain because someone always has it worse. You dismiss your achievements because they are not impressive enough. You downplay your struggles because other people are busier. This isn't humility. This is the learned behavior of a child who was taught that their existence was optional, that they were only valuable when they were easy. And now, you move through the world like a ghost, present but not intrusive, helpful but not needy, existing but not quite living. Because living fully means taking up space, and you were never given permission to do that. But here's what happens eventually. One day, you realize you're exhausted. exhausted from being easy, from being fine, from never asking for what you need, from managing everyone else's comfort while neglecting your own, and something in you breaks, or maybe it finally wakes up, and you start to feel the anger you've been suppressing, the grief you've been avoiding, the loneliness you've been denying. You weren't fine. You were never fine. You were just well trained in pretending. So, how do you heal from being the lost child? How do you become found? You start by acknowledging what happened, that being forgotten wasn't your fault, that needing attention wasn't selfish, that you deserve to be seen just as much as your siblings. You practice asking for what you need, not waiting for people to notice, not testing them to see if they care, actually using your voice. You let yourself be inconvenient sometimes, be needy sometimes, be the problem sometimes, and discover that people don't leave you for having needs. The right people stay. You build relationships where your presence matters, where people ask about you, where you're not just the helper, but the one who gets helped, where you get to be human and not just useful. If you grew up as the lost child, know this. You were never forgettable. You were just forgotten. And there's a difference. Being forgotten about them, their limitations, their divided attention, their failure to see you. It was never about your worth, never about your value, never about whether you deserve to be seen. You did. You always did. And you still do. So step out of the shadows. Stop making yourself small. Stop being easy to accommodate your place in other people's lives. Take up space, be seen, and be remembered. Not because you're performing for attention, but because you're finally giving yourself permission to exist fully. You're not the lost child anymore. You are found by the only person who needed to find you all along, yourself.